Hey guys, Heretic you here, and welcome to Late Night Ramblin with Heretic. Yep, man, I used to do this back in the early days of this channel. Just sort of I don't know. It was a my thoughts before I would head off to bed. You generally thoughts about gaming. It wasn't just pure rambling. I did have topics and stuff, and so I thought I'd bring it back for a number of reasons. Let's see. Basically, it was about I'd create like a topic of the night sort of thing, and you guessed it, I would ramble about it, and I don't know. I thought it'd be kind of cool because the way I want to plan this out is basically I come up with a topic and invite you guys to comment on it. And then on the next show, we go over your guys' comments. It's kind of a way that we can sort of interact with each other. A lot of times I just get caught up in doing battle reports and stuff. And, there's basically it's just me showing off, uh, a recent game. That's all a battle report is. And I don't know. I thought I could just add this sort of segment into the rotation. I would do it once a week, pretty much like my battle reports, because the way um, my gaming schedule works is that I typically game on Friday. It's kind of my little treat after a long week. Um, there's a game store not too far from my work, and I stop by there and get in a game, whatever. I usually bring my camera along and film a battle report. So that's pretty much been the majority of my content. But um, I don't know. I just kind of miss these little sort of late night. I don't know what you call them, vlogs or whatever. Figure you could throw this on while you paint or build models, and we'll have a new topic every week, and I invite you guys to comment, and we'll have sort of an ongoing discussion. So for today's discussion, I thought we would kick this week's rambling just talking about other games. A lot of us have sort of a mainstay game that we play. You know, I don't, usually it's 40K or fantasy or something like that. And then we have sort of a side game, a game that doesn't cost too much. Maybe we're not, committed as much as, collecting everything as we are for our main game, right? So I figure most people support maybe one or two games on average. So for me personally, at least ever since I left 40K, um, I'm able to support about 3 to 4 systems, and then I'll rotate, 2 to 3 of them out, just depending on what's going on. I don't know, there's a number of factors on what happens when I jump into a system, learn it and play it. And then there might be something else that catches my eye, and I jump into that, and then I just can't fit it all into my schedule. So, one game sort of goes by the wayside, and like a new game rotates in and out. That's kind of what at least the last 3 years has been for me. I think it's been about 3 to 4 years since I left 40K, and let me tell you something. That money that I would normally spend on one faction, 40K army would be like, I don't know, $500 to $700, let's say. Most of these smaller skirmish games, the buy-in is anywhere between $50 and $100. So, you think about what we're talking about is you could possibly get into, um, 10 to 14 different systems at that price, at that buy-in price. Um, that's a lot of that's a lot of games. It's a lot of different experiences, and for me, it's been more satisfying than sort of putting my eggs in one basket, which would be your bigger full-scale war games like 40K or fantasy. Um, or War Machine's becoming that way, but I still think War Machine Army is probably, I don't know, 200 to 300 if you're constantly collecting and you want to sort of have a competitive army. So that's sort of I guess um, because I can jump in and out of systems, I get the pleasure of trying out different games. And what I found was basically that because most of these games are, basically, one or two people, they're usually made by like one or two guys, at least from the beginning. And, they're very passionate about that. And because they're passionate about this project that they're creating, you really get a high quality game, and so it's hard. I find it like very hard for me to actually try out a game that that I really didn't enjoy. And most of the time, um, that passion that from the creators usually turns out to be a very good game. So there's hardly any games that I don't like. That being said, though, it there are a lot of games out there that I would love to try, and so this is my sort of top. I'm doing my top 5 games that I would like to get into, and if you know about them, if you play any of these games, um, go ahead and write in the comments what you thought about it. What you like about it, or what you don't like about them. Um, and if you have a recommendation for me, something that I might have not heard of, go ahead and put that in the comments, and we'll do a segment next rambling where we talk about just your viewer responses, and let's talk about these other games, because there's a lot of there's a lot of good games out there. I mean, we're really sort of spoiled in the fact that we have so many games that are being produced now. Basically, any type of genre that you can think of, there's a tabletop game for, um, which is amazing. Different scales too. Not just your heroic, 28 scale. You've got your 10 mil, 15 mil. All kinds of stuff is coming down the pipes, and just companies, they're really trying to attract our dollars. So we're getting high quality scopes and good rules and interesting game mechanics. We're really spoiled. This is really when competition really brings out the best and everything, and we as the consumer win. So yeah, there's a lot of games out there, and if you guys can think of any that that you're into, put them in the comments, and yeah, I will research and we will discuss in our next Ramblin. But for now, we're gonna just sort of. I'll do my um, 5 games that I picked. Um, Now about this list, there's no basically there's no order. It's kind of hard to prioritize what games you want to get into the most, but don't get into. There are, of course, stuff that I had to disqualify, games that I've already um, sort of play. Basically, like let's say Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is my favorite game of all time, right? So it definitely should be on the list of the games that I want to play more often. Um, but I figure I just talk about Blood Bowl enough that it doesn't need to be on the list. It'd be number one. I have yet to find a game that can topple Blood Bowl, and yeah, I'm being absolutely serious about that. You might disagree. You might think I'm a crazy person, but I think I've tried a bunch of games. I think I have a lot under my belt, and um, there's just something Blood Bowl just sort of I don't know. It's a you know it's it's got an A+ in every category I can think of, and yeah, it's hard to say that about any other game. But we're not here to talk about Blood Bowl. We're here to talk about the top 5 games that I wish I can get into, and we're gonna start with Carnival or Carnival. I think Beast of War calls it Carnivale, but I think it's just Carnival. Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, this is a game uh, set in good old Venice, and what I really like about this game or what's really interesting about this game, because kind of talking out of my ass right now, because I've never played it. Of course, it's got very interesting models. They're very unique, kind of. I don't even know how I would describe them. They're they're fancy models. They're aristocrats. They've got the little what do you call those little fancy masks and stuff. But what I like about this game is just all the different kind of actions that you can perform. So basically, in Carnival, if I understand this correctly, your guys can scale the buildings. They can jump on the little gondolas because it takes place in Venice. And if you're gonna make a game that takes place in Venice, you have to have gondola rules, right? Um, there's all kinds of little, you can swim in the rivers and it's one of those games that has a lot of narrative about it. That's what really attracts me about games, guys. Is I'm not one of those hardcore tournament guys. I mean, I go to tournaments, right? But mainly just go to getting a bunch of games, right? Um, what I don't so like tournament guys, they care about balance. They care about like whether or not there's a big community, so that they can go and enter in a bunch of events and play a bunch of different people. Um, I like games that kind of build a narrative. The way I look at tabletop wargaming, it's kind of like you're you're part of a movie, right? But you're not sure of the outcome, kind of deal. Like there are just times, and it'll happen every once in a while in a tabletop game where something will happen that's just so cinematic that you kind of just have to stop in awe, whether it was in your favor or not, right? I mean, Um, let's see. This last game we were playing Infinity, and let's see, we were playing Tech Coffins. Yeah, because I just did the. Well, if you follow the channel, I just did the battle report for it. So, but at the end of the game, I sent my Janissary in, and he was going to finish off Joan of Arc, and she was like unconscious. So I'm there to perform. I move in to perform the coup d'état, but there's a knight with a missile launcher who declares an arrow, and the uh, it's a AOE type of attack. So instead of coup d'état, which was my intent, I declared a dodge. And so you can imagine this missile flying inside this building, blowing up. I actually make the dodge, and my opponent fails his rolls. It was just a bad night for him for rolls. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn door that game. But anyways, the dodge was like, you know, like I could just imagine my Janissary kind of jumping out of the window of the the building as it frags out and explodes. And it's just moments like that are just like awesome. I think it's the biggest payoff to playing miniature war games is those cinematic moments. And for like video games and stuff like that, it's really hard to, because everything's done for you. So video games are very visual, where, well, yeah, I guess miniature games are visual too. What the fuck am I talking about? But they're the difference is that your mind has to sort of create the scene in a miniature game, where every the entire environment in a video game is done for you, obviously. So you're kind of stuck with the technology at the time, the amount of graphics that they could output. That I mean, even though like video games nowadays are freaking amazing, and they have these great cinematic, vast backgrounds, um all the work's still done for you, right? I mean, so like in miniature games, once you there's a moment when you see beyond what's on the table, if that makes any sense. um where something will happen and it's just a bunch of dice rolls, and maybe you're moving your model a couple inches, but he's avoiding an exploding building, basically, in my case. And it just kind of it draws you into the game, and you're like, oh my god, that was like awesome. Like, and for me, that's why I suck at at miniature games, is because you have these moments. I'm more into focusing on these little cinematic moments than I am to, calculating the average dice rolls, and min maxing my squads and all that stuff. I want to see, at the end of the day, I want to see cool shit happen on the table, and have it spark my imagination. I don't know, sounds corny, but whoa, I am way off topic there. Um, we're talking about Carnival, but anyways, Carnival appears to have a lot of those elements to it, and so that's why I picked it. And that's on my list. And so, if anyone's played Carnival, you know, give me a quick little review. Um, I'd love to try it out. I mean, the tough thing is, even after the exodus from 40K, the tough thing still is kind of picking game systems that you and your friends will get into. For me, that's kind of how we do it. We sort of say, hey, have you thought about this? And really, what you're asking your friends is, hey, do you want to spend $100 on a game that we have no idea about? Um, and that's a tough sell. And so that's why a lot of these games, at least the ones on my list, are interesting to me, but maybe they haven't quite caught the interest of people in my game group. And so we leave you with Carnival. Alright, so next up is going to be Empire of the Dead. Now, those of you may not have heard of this game. It's from Westwind Productions, and basically it's Victorian or steampunk kind of sci-fi set in what appears to be London. Again, I've never played these games, so I'm not 100% sure on all the background and stuff. What caught my eye about this particular game is I'm not a big steampunk guy, but I really love the models. I really love the look of this game. There's steampunk, and then there's, I don't know, Victorian sci-fi, and there's a slight. I'm not sure of the exact difference between the two, but this, to me, what I like about it is that most of the models are like, I don't know, they just look like normal Victorian people. There isn't a lot of, cogs and unnecessary gears and stuff like that. And the characters have a lot of character to them. It's a little redundant, right? Characters have character. Yes, this is true. But they're very, I don't know, they're, I don't know, charming? Do I want to say charming? Miniatures are charming. They just have a certain look to them that I love. Like, I could just collect the models themselves, and from what I've seen or what I've read about the game, it's pretty straightforward. It almost plays a lot like In Her Majesty's Name. It sounds like to me. I could be wrong about that again, but looks like pretty straightforward mechanics. So there's nothing too amazing about that. It's really just my. I don't know. I want to see Sherlock Holmes fight zombies. That's always a thing for me, and I don't know, if they could just figure out a way to throw in pirates, it would have been perfect. I probably would have bought this game. Again, if you guys know more about it, leave it in the comments. This is one of the ones that I've always look at the models. I'm like, man, I so want to get this game. And then I try to convince my friends, and they're like, I don't know. And so it never goes anywhere. But okay, so that's Empire of the Dead. Okay, so next up is Warlands. Warlands, basically a Mad Max miniature game. What I love about this game is the models they don't necessarily blow you away, but they're just kind of fun. They just have a fun type of feel to this game, especially like they have like these cars with or these vehicles with sails on them, and I don't know, there's just something hilarious about that to me. And then they've got like guns mounted to them, or like a freaking harpoon, and I don't know, this game just looks like one of those games where you can just have a ton of fun playing and if I remember correctly, they scale them. I think the scale is so that you can proxy in Hot Wheels. Like, this company's like, you know what? We know you're gonna do it anyways, so uh, here you go. I think they even have like kits where you can mod your Hot Wheels. So that's kind of amazing. I don't know. There's something just about um, running cars around the desert and just blowing stuff up. It just sounds like a lot of fun, and they do have quite they do have a growing model range as well. And like I said, the models aren't impressive, but the game has a lot of it just looks like a lot of fun. Just driving around, blowing cars up, and kind of like a Twisted Metal Mad Maxian type of thing. And yeah, what makes me sad about this is that I've actually seen the guy who he demos at local cons here. He does Warlands, and have never managed to get in a demo. I didn't see him at Kingdom Con this year. I was hoping to, because this year was like the only year that I went as a just I wasn't a volunteer. I wasn't running any demos and stuff. So I wanted to get in as many new games and some old favorites as possible. And so I did that, and yeah, that I didn't see the Warlands guy, so kind of sad. Anyways, I think that's my number 3 on the list is Warlands. All right, next up, kids, we got Strange Eons. Now, if you're not familiar with Strange Eons, let me just set this up. This is basically let's see, if you're a fan of H.P. Lovecraft. If H.P. Lovecraft had a tabletop skirmish game, I'm pretty sure that would be Strange Eons. So that's the genre that we're dealing with. Um, this one was actually recommended to me by someone put it in the comments like years ago. They were like, "Oh man, you got to check out this game. It's so amazing. It's got a campaign mode, and the way I understand it is basically, I think one player plays as a group of heroes, and then the other player plays as cultists. Now, looking on their website, it looks like they have a second edition, so I don't know if that's still the case or was ever the case. Um, yeah, because again, these are games that I just am interested in, but haven't really gotten into. Um, their model selection is it seems pretty limited, but it's very diverse, and everything from like little strange witches to like fish people to like tentacle. Well, of course you gotta have tentacle things if you're gonna do an H.P. Lovecraft, and then of course you got your cultists guys, um, and then like sort of these like gangster thug guys is pretty awesome. Um, it's just awesome, cool stuff. I mean, I just really wish I had unlimited amount of funds. Sorry, my nose is stuffed. Like crazy. It's getting close to midnight here, so um, anyways, yeah. So if I had unlimited amount of funds and time, I would totally play this Strange Eons game. Probably. Um, oh, there's a Sasquatch thing. Yes, that is amazing. Um, they just look like fun. It looks anything that is based around a campaign mode. So if a game wants you to play a campaign, that's always going to be tough to do. Um, just quickly going back to Blood Bowl, the reason why it's so difficult for me to do Blood Bowl videos is because it's so hard to get people to stay. Blood Bowl is basically a campaign, and anybody who's tried to run or have been part of a campaign knows that, day one, boom, everyone's out there, right? And full force. And you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is going to be for the next 3 months. We're going to do this and, watch this thing develop. By like, I don't know, week 2 or maybe week 3, people have scheduling conflicts and they can't make the day. Anyways, by the end of the campaign, you're lucky if you have like 2 guys. That's been my experience with running the Sylvan Bowl. It's just been very tough to deal with because we're adults. We have lives, and to commit to a something beyond. I think last time we tried a 10-game season. I think the magic number for Blood Bowl is about 6 when you're dealing with campaign mode. You want to have a regular season of 6 games and then playoffs, and even then, you're talking like that'll probably take 6 months to complete. So, Strange Eons being the campaign, mainly based around campaign mode, I could see it being very difficult to sell people on, but it just, I don't know. I haven't seen. There's been plenty of Lovecraftian board games, but I haven't seen a tabletop skirmish game like it. So, I'd love to try it out. And that one guy who recommended it, if you're still watching my channel, go ahead, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, and we'll discuss it in the next rambling. Alright, so that's Strange Eons. Okay, so last but definitely not least, I'm gonna have to go with Secrets of the Third Reich. Now, this one, I'm really close to buying into, because I already have Incursion, which is basically like set in that universe. And let me just back up for a second. Secrets of the Third Reich is basically a they call it the Weird War stuff, Weird War 2, or Weird War in general. Basically, just think of, World War with monsters, zombies, werewolves, that kind of stuff. Kind of a genre that I want to get more into. To me, it's more fascinating than your steampunk, alternate history stuff. Between the two, I would pick Weird War every time. I love it. And if you're wondering, yeah, I'm still playing Incursion and still enjoying that game. So, same company, West Wind Productions, which I just found out also produces Empire of the Dead. So, highly, the models are of high quality, and if you love Nazi zombies, this is the game for you. Yeah, because it has Nazi zombies and Nazi werewolves and other stuff. I kind of, just looking at the site, want to. I'm thinking of expanding my board game set. Maybe getting a Snafu for Incursion And then I don't know. It's tough to get people into the Weird War. I do have a bunch of AE World War II stuff. I've never even shown you guys. Mainly because I haven't. I've been so bad. I haven't put it together. And yeah, so I didn't put it together, and so certainly haven't painted it. So, but this stuff, this whole genre, there's something really cool about mixing, World War II with this sort of fantasy element to it. I don't know. I really dig it, and it's like it's one of my secret, like, yeah, I know, like what dominates the miniature wargaming scene is your sci-fi and fantasy and stuff like that. But I don't know, alternate World War II, pretty amazing. Now, okay, so we're at the end of my list, but I'm sad that I didn't mention any. There's so many games, like, I could have thrown in like Saga. That's sort of your entry historical game, but I had to pick five. So those were the five that I would consider my top five. If somehow I run into a boatload of money, right? Just disposable income. Uh, these are probably the games that I would most likely get into next. And so I'd love to hear your list. So in the comments, put down your top five. And also, just if let me know if this is something that a segment that you guys like. This is something I can do every week, and I have lots of topics on the top of my head, and I always love to talk about games. And yeah, so if you guys find this interesting, I don't know. I mean, it's just me rambling, but who knows? Maybe you like it. Let me know, so we'll continue to do it. I'm probably going to continue to do it anyways. um, but your comments are always appreciated, and yeah, I'll see you next week on the next rambling episode. As far as the topic goes, I'm going to keep that a secret. You're just going to have to stay tuned and find out. All right. Thanks for listening.